other scalar interchange that you should know, or at least the mechanics of which, is to change from within your major scale patterns itself. Okay, what we want to do, we want to change from whatever pattern that we are at. Say for instance, you're on pattern 1. You want to change to the pattern before that, which is pattern 5. Right? So for instance, if you're on pattern 2, you want to be able to change to pattern 1. And pattern 3, back to pattern 2. So let me give you an example. Okay, let me just demonstrate. Starting off with our pattern 5, since in the key of C, A minor. So we'll be playing. So that's pattern 5. You want to change to the pattern before that, which is pattern 4, at the same location. And then back to pattern 5. Okay, so the next scale pattern, we are starting pattern 1, okay, in C major, over on the 7th fret. Okay, and then we want to go to pattern 5 over the same position. Then back to pattern 1. Effectively what we are doing, pattern 1 in C major, and then when we go to pattern 5, we're in B minor or D major. Moving on. Pattern 2. On the 10th fret, the Dorian shape. So from pattern 2, we want to go down to pattern 1 in the same position. Back to pattern 2. Okay, let me go through all of them first before I demonstrate how it can be used. Next one, pattern 3, the Phrygian shape. So pattern 3 on the 12th fret. Then change to pattern 2 over the same 12th fret. And the last one, pattern 4. On the 15th fret, the Mixolydian, we want to change that to your Phrygian shape. Remember, we're all changing it in the same box position. So here we go. So why is this important? This fundamental change of changing from whatever scale pattern that you are at to the pattern before it uses this technique called changing in position. By doing so, it allows you to change to the next key higher up by one whole step. So for instance, if you're on the key of C, it allows you to change to the key of D. If you're on the key of D, it allows you to change to the key of E, and so on and so forth. So let us apply this concept now to the circle of fifths progression that we've been learning all this while. In bar 8, this time round, we are going to go back to the A7 chord. The A7 chord is the 5th chord in the key of D. There are 3 ways that you can approach this, either seeing it as a secondary dominant, or you can see it as a borrowed chord that we borrow temporarily from the key of D. So therefore, over bar 8, we will be changing to pattern 4. And here's an example. So going back to our circle of fifths progression, this time we are going to build upon what we learned in the previous lesson, where over the E7 flat 9, we will change to the harmonic minor. But on bar 8, over the A7 chord, we will now change to the Mixolydian pattern, effectively changing to the key of D temporarily. Okay, so I know when you're playing this without harmony, it tends to sound like an exercise, like a scalar exercise. So let me just demonstrate using the scale first, and maybe on the second pass, I will try to create some lines and mix some music with it. Here we go. Something like that, okay? There are a few ways to treat the A7. We will begin with this because this is the simplest way. What else can we do with this concept? Okay, let's take, for instance, this progression. We begin with, okay, your 1 chord, okay, in the key of C, C major 7. Let's go to the 6th chord, A minor 7. Diatonic 6. Go to the 2, minor 7, 5, 7. Okay, now we are going to go to E minor 7, which you can see as the 3 chord in C major, or you can see it as the 2 chord in D major. After this chord, we are going to A7. So essentially, looking at it, E minor 7 to A7 is the 2-5 of the key of D major. But instead of going to resolve to the D major 7, we are going to the D minor 7 again. And then G7. And then we can repeat the cycle. So let me play the whole progression for you. So here's what it could sound like. Something like that. Sure, you can also play the C major scale over the entire chord progression, even over the A7. Okay, let me demonstrate. By doing so, you're just playing diatonically, but by changing in the example that I just did, it gives you a different color over that certain chord progression. Okay, let me do this again. The first round, I'll just stick to the key of C major, even over the A7. But the second pass, I will change to the key of D major. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. like that. Now for a variation of this, okay, instead of the 6 minor 7, we can try to use the 6 dominant 7, meaning A7, to get a different color, and then everything else stays the same. So let me demonstrate again. Okay, so again, because the chord goes to A7 over bar 2, we can apply this change from our pattern 5 to pattern 4. Okay, here it goes. 2, 3, 4. So I hope that demonstrates how this technique works. In subsequent videos, I'll show you some other changes that you can use over the A7 and how to see them, aside from just being a borrowed chord. So that's it for this week's lesson, guys. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm also on Patreon, so if you like what I do and you want to support me, you can sign up as a patron there and get access to some patron-only content. As before, I will see you in the next one.